Eurosport, phenomenal. Being able to reach out 50, 60 countries. How important to your career, how important to the world of arm wrestling was landing that Eurosport deal? Because I think something very huge come out of that deal.
I think Eurosport and the fact that it ran for as long as it did, we had sort of, if you go across Sky Sports and Eurosport, I think we ran for about 11 and a half to 12 years, which is not bad. And we walked away from that just because of financial burden and various other things, the WL's coming about, birth of my son and so on. And those were were major factors in that decision. And I think that it was the first universal glimpse of arm wrestlers where internationally we had recognition.
Yeah.
Internationally, we'd go to different territories to do shows and people would recognize the arm wrestlers. So they would come up and say, and this is before YouTube and stuff like that, but people would, I remember we went when Frode Haugland comes to the Trafford Centre in Manchester. So Frode, a Norwegian kid, he comes to, and he's only young at that time, he comes to Trafford Centre, I think it was Mighty Quest, and there's like, he comes off the stage after arm wrestling, there's like 50 girls.
He's a handsome man.
You know, when it's like, what the... Literally, turn around after his match, come out, and these girls are all there, and they got banners. Frode Haugland banners. And I'm like, whoa! Where'd that come from? And same with Jeff Hale, who's another massive favourite. I think our biggest ever audience, we got 9.2 million people one night for Jeff. The thing was, you had to make a show.
Yeah.
Every week. You run for an hour a week. If you take Sky and Eurosport, 30 minutes on Eurosport, 30 minutes on Sky, different show, cut different ways. Unbelievable amount of work, mate.
Was this the launching pad for Devon Larratt? Was this where he was getting him matches on Arm Wars and on Eurosport? I mean, yes. Devon was always going to be Devon. There's undeniably charisma in the way he goes about it. But was this a launching pad for him? Did this really just chuck him in the fast lane to superstardom?
So Devon, there's other Devons. Just people don't know him yet.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's the thing. And Devon's character has evolved. If you watch a young Devon, the young Devon isn't Devon now. He's there, same dude, same elements in there, but he was a baby one. And he's grown and he's evolved as time's gone on. But everyone is crafted by circumstance, crafted by the surroundings, their environment. And Devon's no exception. But I remember when the first place I ever put he was signed to do an Arm Wars. He was going to come over for an Arm Wars. And I had massive faith in him. I'd met him in Japan. And I instantly got on with the dude. And I remember thinking, whoa, we messed around the practice table. I remember thinking, God damn, this guy's got everything. He's got amazing talent. We were talking about him on the way home on the plane. I said, I absolutely love that kid. He's mega. He's just going to be a bad dude. And had my eyes on him. So I was then 1/3 of the PAL. Yeah. So I was matchmaking for the PAL. In bringing together athletes and matches. So I'm with Asan Hodjitolarov and Igor, and they say, okay, we got Taras Ivakin, incredible top roller, one of the best, most purest top roll machines there's ever been in the game, who was the then multiple champion of the world. And they say, we need a guy to pull him. What about Jan Germanos? What about, and the usual suspects, Peter Gadsberg, other guys. And I'm like, no. I got a guy. And I said, we need some North American interest. We're going to Dubai. We need, you're outside the European territory. We need some North American interest. I got a guy. And they're like, who? And I said, he's called Devon Larratt. Oh, this guy. Oh, no, my God. We're talking about... And ton of like negativity. Not nasty, just obviously they're putting money into the thing. They don't want it to bomb. They're like, oh God, against Taras, kill him. And I'm like, no, I don't think so. He's got this ain't the waff, and this guy's got some spots, and if he hits one of those spots, trust me, it's on like Donkey Kong. He's a bad man. So anyway, they to be fair to them, they say, okay, we'll bow to your knowledge on it. It's on you though. And I say, look, I'm going to take a bet that this is a much better match than you think. Any takers? And I had it, to keep people's blushes, I will keep that to myself. But yes, there were many takers on that, and they said, no, we'll see. He's going to get run over. And I said, okay, we'll see then. So I should have a T-shirt done. Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
And then, we will see. Because we fucking saw. Devon comes over, typical fearless, let's go attitude. Didn't really care whether he won or lost. Had a healthy degree of respect and nervousness about the match, but a equally healthy belief that on any given Sunday, you know what I mean? And there you go.
And the match was fantastic.
Yeah.
Now,
and then from his involvement in Arm Wars, that's when he became No Limits. In my mind, that's where I came up with the name No Limits, watching him pull, watching his style, watching what he had. The old Archimedes law, isn't it? If you give me a lever long enough and a fulcrum strong enough, I'll move the world. There are no limits. Devon Larratt.
And you've absolutely nailed it. We'll get to nicknames in a minute. Now I'm gonna flip flop around like a toddler having a tantrum at the moment. So with Arm Wars, when it launched, did George Lucas or anyone approach you about your original logo? Now, the only reason I ask, because Paul Lynn and Lethal Arms Assassin, they got a bit of a stop using our logo with Lethal Arms because they were copying LA Dodgers. So when Arm Wars first came out, Wars was almost like Star Wars.
Yeah, but it was a font. It was a typeface. It was a font. So basically, if you look at it, they have a thing. I think it was called Distant Galaxy or something like that. I can't remember what the designer told me, but I asked the same question at the time, and they said, "Well, good luck with that because it's a font." And the whole thing, and the whole Arm Wars sound far-fetched. We weren't basing it on Star Wars. The designer, when they did the logo, said, "Oh yeah, like Star Wars." Mean this in the nicest possible way. Never been a Star Wars guy.
Yeah.
Never was, never really. Yeah, I don't know. I never was a Star Wars guy. So I didn't even connect it. And then he said, like Star Wars. And I was a bit offended. I was like, I wasn't a Star Wars guy. So I sort of went, since that, my little boys love Star Wars. I've seen the Star Wars movies and I like, great. But I wasn't at the time. Just haven't been exposed to it. And when he said that, I said, no, not like Star Wars. Like, wars aren't. Anyway, that was that. Off we go. But yeah, the designer, the guy who put it together, just said, yeah, and this is the font, and people will recognize it, and obviously they did. And they made that.
There's so many Arm Wars events we could go on about. Obviously, all the ones at the Travis Center. There was the Las Vegas balcony that went all day. That event was unbelievable, and that wasn't you didn't book.
Yeah, the gathering, Sin City, 2 days. Top of the MGM Grand. Never had sunburn like that in my life. I got it pretty good now from today, let me tell you. But sunburn. Dude, back of my neck, wow.
Yeah, that was an unbelievable match. And then so much we can talk about. Obviously, you've got your heavy involvement in the World Arm Wrestling League, and that's just been unbelievable. Arm Wars and World Arm Wrestling League, because I'm from the western side of world. I'm an entertainment type of guy, so those two for me go hand in hand. And I'll briefly touch about it so we don't go on for too long. But the last World Arm Wrestling League, a couple of questions. The last World Arm Wrestling League, what is the ruling and everything? Michael Todd, Jerry Caderet, when the strap was coming very loose and they basically weren't even holding hands, because you were right there, you were calling the action, you were right there on the monitor, you had everyone over your shoulder trying
Oh.
to tell you. Clarify it for everyone. Why was the ruling it was?
The simple fact of the matter was, it was around fouls that Jerry committed, and he knew that he had. He knew Jerry is a chancer in that respect, as we all would be. If I was in that situation, I would be exactly the same. But the ruling was absolutely correct. The winner of the match was Michael, should have been Michael. What wasn't correct was, it was correct, actually. It was 100% correct, in fact. But what wasn't great from a perception and aesthetics perspective was Mike sort of, I'm taking my hammer, I'm going to leave the building.
Yeah.
That didn't look great for Mike. It didn't look great for the promotion at the time. Or maybe it did. Maybe Mike's smart. You guys tell me. You were watching. On the night when people, and then someone from, one of the ladies from the WAL comes over to me and says, hey, and unbeknown to Steve Kaplan, Steve Kaplan was in agreement with me. I'm up there with Ben Holden, the voice of God. Love you, Ben, if you're watching. Great dude. So me and Ben are up there, and we have the voice of God, and it comes on. It says, Neil, they're looking for you. Why don't you go down and talk Michael down? He's going to leave the building. And I'm like, oh, my God. I can't do that because I'm like on the goddamn show. No, you got to get him because this thing's going to go up the wall. If we don't stop Michael from leaving, it's going to look terrible if he leaves. So I'm like, oh, shit. Next thing you know, girls come up to the desk, says, come on, Neil, you got to stop Mike. And I thought, oh, no, we're losing it. So I get up, reluctantly put my stuff down, go down to see Mike. And when I get down to Mike, Mike's pretty calm. Mike's not. Yeah, everybody's saying, Michael's a lot smarter.
Went down and spoke to Michael, and then you froze.
Yeah. So I get down to Mike, and Mike isn't the raging lunatic that everybody's been telling me on the headset that he is. Mike's calm as hell. Mike's working the angle. And I get down there and I said, mate, hey, all right, what's going on? I'm not going anywhere. Listen, all I'm doing is there's a lot of money. This is about money. I've come for money. And I've won the money because he fouled, and that's it. That's the rule, and I win. And, yeah, what are you going to say? Guy's correct. So there's no, Bart Wood comes over, he says, mate, I mean, Bart takes a lot of abuse, but Bart comes over, and he's right on the money. Bart says, Neil, they want me to check it over with you. This is how I see it. And I'm like, that's 100% correct. That is exactly what happens. I look up at Jerry, and Jerry's like, Jerry's Jerry. Absolute man. And he just goes, yeah, no worries. Took it on the chin, like you'd expect Jerry Larratt to do. Just took it right on the chin, like the warrior and the man he is. And there it is. That one's in the book. Some you win, some you lose. That day it went down. Nobody wanted to see that. I mean, I think everybody wanted to see strap 'em up.
Yeah.
Wanted to see it go again, didn't it? But who'd have won then? I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, everybody said, "Oh, Jerry would have definitely won." Would he? I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, especially when there's quite a lot of money in the hammer involved. Absolutely, it would have just been, no idea who would have won that. I mean, the argument will go on, as far as the eye can see. It's amazing. Now, the super match format, I mean, backtracking just a little bit before we get into some...
Can I just say, though, how frigging great is WL's a magnificent promotion. Anybody who doesn't like the WAL, who's an arm wrestling fan, come on, guys, it's awesome. It is awesome.
Yeah.
Some of that stuff was amazing. You can proudly go out and show everybody the sport of arm wrestling there, and it's Wild West, and it's entertaining, and it's raw. My mother-in-law came round, right? She does not like arm wrestling at all. The WAL, she will actively avoid watching the sport of arm wrestling. You told her I don't want to go. Surrounded it all her life. She don't have any interest seeing arm wrestling. Don't want to know. WL comes on TV and my boy's watching it. So grandkids are watching it. She's going to watch it. So she sat there. 15, 20 minutes go by. I come in with a cup of coffee, and I'm going to change the channel out of courtesy to my mother-in-law, so she's not sat there watching something she don't want to watch. I go to change the channel, and she nearly bit my head off. No, leave that match. She was in the moment. She was loving it. She went, "Oh, this is great. This is really good." I never knew it was like this, and I thought, interesting.
Oh, I'm a huge WAL fan. I think it's entertaining. I like the adjustments of the rules to put on entertaining matches, because even, you know, in 2021 you still get that off the cuff comment, oh, is arm wrestling a sport? And you can just show them any match basically from WAL and it will at least entertain them and show them that it's not just a pub sport. When yous were planning 601, I was ready to buy a ticket and I was going to fly over, and then of course everything just kept cancelling. So I am absolutely hanging for it to come back. I will be on the first plane over there. You know, Steve Kaplan, I've been lucky enough, he reached out to me for that. I've shared the story a few times, but for those that don't know, when the Aussie arm wrestler was up and about and he was doing his commentary, Jamie reached out to me. He says, "Can I have your email address? Steve wants to have a chat with you." And I literally turned to my wife and I went, "Oh, well, that was a fun 6 weeks, wasn't it? You know, okay, oh well, WAL aren't too happy." And yeah, Steve wrote me an email and he's like, "What you're doing's entertaining. Thanks so much. I watch your matches. I watch your commentary every night. When you get a chance, if you're ever over here, let me buy you a beer." And I was just like, wow, this is the man that's running the show, and he thinks what I'm doing's not too bad, you know. So it's WAL and of course Arm Wars. They're just, for me, I thoroughly enjoy them. I'm an entertainment guy more than of course you got to have rules, but yeah, I would rather just, you know, if the pads are that little bit longer so people can stay in a battle for just that little bit longer, yeah, then it's for me. And I can't wait for it to come back. I hope it comes back. I will still be a glass half full. I mean, if you want to tell us anything, you want to drop some news on here, Neil, and tell everyone the date that WAL is coming back, you would be a national and an international hero. But yeah, I will...
But I know that the WL are planning on returning. They are certainly, as it stands right now, they have every intention of returning in 2022, potentially sooner. But I don't think that will be the case. Steve Kaplan's a very, very straight shooting individual. He's not a bravado guy. He doesn't like going out there before he's the guy that wants everything totally secure, totally in place before he comes out and says, "Yeah, it's happening." You know, he wants to make sure he's got it all dialed in, and he's got every intention. He still calls me, messages me regularly. I've found Steve and Jamie to be absolutely spot on. Steve Kaplan's a very straight individual in every way that I've dealt with the bloke. He's never given me any false pretense on anything. His willingness to try to evolve the WAL. I mean, people talk about the rule side of things, and you know that they might find this problem with it or that problem with it. Steve's super open to trying to evolve the thing. He's not sort of, "Oh, this is the way we do it," and ew. It's not that at all. He's very, very interested in getting the best product, which is best suited for purpose. Yeah, take my hat to the guy. I think the WL's done a great job. It's been extraordinarily beneficial in establishing and furthering characters within the sport. And yeah, I'm a massive supporter, and unless I'm told otherwise, I'll continue to be a massive supporter of the WL going forward.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, I'm right there with you. And Steve, if there's anything the Aussie arm wrestler can do, all you need to do is just reach out. I will support the WAL, not a problem. Now, with all the highs, Neil, I just want to quickly touch on what has been, because you've been 30 years, you've done it all in the sport. What were the darkest days in arm wrestling where you thought, this sport's in a lot of trouble, this sport's going nowhere? When were because you've been there through the fantastic times, but you would have been there through the dark days of arm wrestling.
Yeah, I think we're living in one side of them now. I think whenever you've got a situation where there's been a split, I remember late 90s, so sort of 97, 98, 99, particularly those years. When there's a split in things, I mean, just from I talked earlier on about being obsessed with the sport, and look, 90% of the people that arm wrestle are working men, working women. They do not have an enormous amount of money nor time to be able to leave their families, invest a lot of money into traveling to the other side of the world in pursuit of a title and a medal.
Yeah.
So when you put their desire to test themselves against the best in the world is very real. You get to a situation where, through no fault of your own, the opportunity to do that is sort of taken away from you. It's a bitter pill to swallow.
Absolutely.
Bitter pill to swallow. And I've lived that twice now. And the first time round, my answer to it was, well, okay, I'm going to go both. It's an arm wrestling tournament because I didn't have kids. And I did, and so blinkers on, I'll spend time doing this above anything and everything. So I'll go to compete in both world championships or both, whatever you need to do. But even then, it waters down both aspirations. We're in a situation now. Let's pretend you're a Swedish lady. And you're right at the cusp of or a Russian lady.
Yeah.
Or you're Gabriela Vasconcelos. You're the cream of the crop in the ladies, and you're on one side of the pond and one side of the political barrier. So you're with the WAF. You're a Swedish lady with your IFA. And you're amazing. You're training your ass off in the absolute core of female arm wrestling on earth. Which you'd have to say Sweden, if it's not that, it's right there. It's one of the leading nations of female arm wrestling, and always has been. Back from the days of the great Anna Pettersson, through Heidi Andersson, right up to Fia Rasik, Marlin, and the girls who are still dominating today, and there's many of them. They've effectively been frozen out from the highest level of competition because of a political split that is nothing to do with them. It's, I'm sure everything's done correctly in Sweden and it's voted upon and so on. But take the politics and who's right, who's wrong out of it. If you're just that girl in Sweden that's training her ass off and wants to pull the girl from Kazakhstan, from Turkey, from Russia, from Brazil, and you can't do that, that friggin'
madness.
So that's that whole split at the world level, in the grassroots amateur world level, is a great shame for the sport of arm wrestling. And it waters down the whole world title thing a lot, because people will say, I'm pulling the IFA Worlds. You're pulling a tournament in North America, which is going to be a great tournament and a fun time, but don't believe that you are winning the Worlds, because you're not. Yeah. That's not a criticism or a derogatory statement for anyone. It's a matter of fact.
Yeah, well, I could have 15 mates over in my garage, chuck the banner in the background. I could call it World Champions here. Doesn't mean they're World Champions. Yeah, and like you said, it's not a knock on the IFA, but yeah, I think we almost need one governing body. Otherwise, we're going to continue to have these discussions, which is great for someone like me. I love fantasy booking and I love moving the pieces, but I need to see these matches in fruition. I think, political things are just really holding back. Especially, I think we're in a purple patch, regardless of what's happening in the world. I think we are in a purple patch of arm wrestling. I mean, so many people are creating channels. Make sure you go to Supernatural Strength and pin that subscribe button. But it's just building and building and building. And a lot of the newcomers in the sport don't understand the political, the minor little thing you've just spoken about, Neil, because it's really separating. Like, people can't get their head around, why can't Devon Paul Levine? Why is Dave Chavey not picking up another match? And so it's
I think side of it, Jake, as well, like the point you made there with the Devon and Levine thing, and the professional side of arm wrestling probably will always be that way, as it is with all combat sports, as it is with all strength sports. Some athletes will cross over from one promotion to another. It's just a matter of timing if you manage to get the two together. I think we'll always see that in the professional side of things. And I'm an enormous supporter of the professional side.
Yeah.
Where I really find it annoying is in the amateur side of things, because at that amateur grassroots main draw tournament format stuff, oh my God, that's a wonderful experience. I mean, I'm the biggest supporter of super match arm wrestling drawing breath, but I also friggin' love an arm wrestling tournament.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's a great
grassroots. We in the UK now, we have the PAA that are doing some of the amateur stuff, and they're having great success with that, and that's fantastic. The fact that they're getting out there and doing those shows, it's brilliant, because it's drawing in the new guys. I'm feeding guys through to them as much as I can to try and build that momentum for them and keep that thing rolling. And the same in other countries. If you're looking to get into the sport, how do we find the next Devon, Larratt, if they don't have a rock-solid grassroots path? Okay, I go to my club, I go to the regional, I go to the national. If I'm good enough in the national, I go to the amateur worlds. I pull in the amateur worlds. If I'm a standout athlete, maybe I get invited to be a professional. I go and compete in professional matches. And, it's that. You can see the tree of progression, and it's very important to have that.
Oh, and we need the new Devons to come, because as much as arm wrestling's growing and it's being fantastic, we are still talking about John Brezink and Devon Larratt. We were talking about them 20 years ago as well, when we were starting Arm Wars. So we need more superstars to come about. We need more people, and we can't continue to just shit on people that are thriving to be on the top. We need to embrace these new superstars that are coming in that might be able to challenge. Now, is it a highlight or a hindrance that John Brezink beat Chance Shaw? Because it's like, well, John had some time off. Now he's jumped on, and now he's beaten a very good, up-and-comer reaching for that elite level. It's great. I got to call John Brezink live, and I got to see John Paul, live through the internet. But yeah, we need to develop new stars. So when these guys finally sit down and go, you know what, that'll do, then we've got the next wave of superstars, and we need them bad.
And that undercurrent of stars will come. That's where you spoke about the world being in a purple patch. I think it's right, but it's wrong scenario right now with arm wrestling.
Yeah.
There's so much horribly wrong. Just not all the failings of arm wrestling and those within arm wrestling. The world is in a very difficult place. Arguably the most difficult place it's ever been in since the World Wars. So very, very difficult situation now, travel restrictions and everything else. Not a lot could be more difficult. It's unbelievably restrictive. But things have been forced to evolve. And I'm sure they'll continue to evolve as a back of that. I got a concept myself for Arm Wars going forward. I'm looking for the WL to return so I can get back to developing the sport with them. And alongside that, maybe some kind of feeder program from Arm Wars into that. We've got some really exciting concepts that I'm more than ever really keen to unleash in 2022.
Oh, I see a tier league in like the English Football League. I see that in Arm Wars. I see
we have a concept which is awesome.
Oh.
It's truly awesome. From my perspective, the experience within arm wrestling has always been the thing. When you go to a competition, you want to have a great experience. You want it to be life enhancing in every way. You get to arm wrestle, but you get to chill out. You get to have fun. You get to learn. You get to experience new things. You get different environments. All of those learnings from years of being involved in the sport are being poured into this endeavor. And the opportunity for it to facilitate brand ownership for athletes, to give a platform for new athletes, new talent, to be seen, recognised, and get involved in great matches in an excellent environment, in an enjoyable circumstance. It's going into this thing, and it's going in hard.
Yes. That's perfect. All right, let's get a bit of fun as anything happens when any guest comes on the show. Got a little fun game that I love to play with every one of my guests, and because you are the godfather of arm wrestling, you get to play this game 3 times. Now, I know I've taken up way more than I should have, way more of your time, which I do appreciate. But the game is, I'm going to give you the name of 3 pullers, and you have to decide which one you're going to pin, which one you're going to lose to, and which one you are saying, mother fluffer, you do not pull anymore in the sport of arm wrestling. So, your first 3 pullers. Pretty simple. With the big match coming up, I'm going to give you Big Levan. I'm going to give you Dave Chaffee. And if I could intimidate Neil Pickup, I'm going to come to the microphone nice and close, and I'm going to give you the unicorn, Danny Tesh.
Oh. Well, that's just made the first one really easy, because the guy that I would lose to, I would bow down to, is the Testicles. Because he's the greatest, not only arm wrestler, but probably human being of all time. Danny Tesh. In fact, can we have 30 seconds silence?
Long live Danny Tesh.
I'm not counting, but that's probably around 30.
Yeah, it's around there, yeah. Screen hasn't frozen.
Yeah. But yeah, Tesh. I'd lose to Tesh. Oh, God damn. Oh, I hate that.
Yeah.
They're not allowed to arm wrestle anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I picked these 3 because I just had a feeling that you would bow down to Danny Tesh. I just had a feeling when I was picking the names, so I thought, yeah, I've got him here. I've got him.
Am I allowed to eliminate myself?
No.
And let you pull?
No.
Oh, God. I'm going to have to flip the remote.
Yeah.
Okay, for who gets booted out?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Dave Chaffee gets booted out.
Ah! I think that's the first time we've had to flip a remote. So he's pinning the Georgian Hulk. He's losing. He's taking the pin to the Testicles, Danny Tesh, and he's just told his mate Dave Chaffington Esquire the Third. That
does not. Well, you can't eliminate Dave Chaffee. Right? Come on.
Now I reckon this next one. All right, I'll let you breathe on that one. Now the next round, I'm going to give you 3 different names, and I reckon you'll have a bit more fun with this. And of course, one of, if not the most fun arm wrestling show on the TV, is The Fix. Paul Lynn, Ryan Bowen, Rolly Ray. Pin 1, lose to 1, get rid of 1.
Oh, I gotta get rid of all the Fix guys. Whoa! Oh my God! Right, I got a pin going.
You got to pin him?
Yeah, then I can immediately retire and just hold it over his ass forever and go. That dude's just done you. That'd be great, because it'd make content for The Fix forever.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Well, it'd be the opening credits, wouldn't it? If you pinned Ryan.
I'm gonna lose to Rolly Ray, just to allow Rolly Ray to get a win after that crushing pasting he just took from Relentless Fraud at Hogland.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna. Oh God, I'm gonna never forgive myself, and say that that Paul's the, and only because Paul's the nicest man in the world, and he'd probably find a way in his heart to forgive me.
And just like that, your female.
You can't eliminate Paul Lynn and Dave Chip. I'm glad this is fantasy. Paul Lynn's awesome. Paul Lynn's a star, mate.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, great guy. He was one of my first guests on my show and reached out to me, and I had a lot of fun with Paul, and we'll do anything to support Paul. But it's almost, it's almost like you've just looked a cat in the eye and taken it back to the adoption agency, mate. That was hard work.
Bloody terrible. That was awful.
And because you are a part of the fix and you're just taking the YouTube world by storm, and I just hope that your subscribers, supports, super chats, merch, I want to push you to the moon, absolutely. But you are a YouTube star. So your next one, the next game you got to do is you got to promote someone, you got to unsubscribe to someone, and you're going to ban someone from YouTube. So your three channels... I'm going for the jugular in this one. Took me 18 months to get you on the show. I'm going deep. Gary Roberts from TV.
Oh my God.
Jonathan Thompson from the Uncle John Armwrestling Show.
Oh.
And Jake Ward from the Aussie Arm Wrestler.
Oh my God. Right, straight off the bat, I'm banning you from YouTube because you've set me up with this, you bastard. Straight away. Oh, God. I then promote Uncle John to work with Gary and bring Gary more fans in and raise the tide.
Nice little loophole, but wow, he's just, okay. Well, this will be my last ever episode because we've got it on film. Neil Pickup's banning me from YouTube.
I'm going to be beaten to death by the nicest guy in arm wrestling and a fucking giant.
Oh, that's why I love the game. That's why I love it. All right. Now, to finish up, I'm just going to shoot some quick fire questions at you. No thinking, one-word answers. Are you ready to go?
Okay, I'll try my best.
Yeah. Of course, if you have got fun stories and you want to elaborate, I just try and catch people in the spider's web, yeah? Do you prefer super matches or tournaments?
Super matches.
Are you a fan of the King's move?
Indifferent.
Who's going to win, Dave or Levan?
Levan.
EastEnders or Coronation Street?
Neither.
No. For those watching, they're just like two massive soap operas that have been going on longer than Neil's been in the sport. Do you prefer being a commentator or an athlete?
Athlete.
How much were you paid for your cameo in Pulling John?
Nothing.
Who is the best arm wrestler you've ever seen?
John Brazing.
Who's been the favourite guest on your show? The Supernaturals, the Back in Times, the Fix. Who's been the best one on your show?
Wow. Oh. Wow.
If you go top three, you can just fire off some names. Someone who's come on, been entertaining, they've been funny, or just come with some stories that you of all people have never heard of.
Oh, maybe Magnus Samuelsson. I'm
going to have to go back in.
And I also loved Richard Lupkus.
Oh, yeah.
Richard Lupkus was that was special for me because when I was a kid, when I went to the World Championships in Sweden, Eskilstuna. Yeah, Richard was that superhero. Just everything's special when you're that age. When a guy that who's that physically impressive and athletically impressive as he was at that time. I mean, my God, he was fire through bushes. Just unbelievably powerful human being. And such an absolute gentleman. The way he carried himself, his demeanour, his refreshing honesty, no bravado, matter of fact, transparent, enlightening, endearing attitude, everything. And I remember I came off that interview. A lot of the times you go on and you know these guys and you've got extensive background on them and you've got a lot of the backstory and you've spent a lot of time having a beer with them and all those things that you do. With Richard, it was never that. Richard was always that guy that you had the conversation with, but it was never in depth really about him, because he's just not the guy that throws limelight on himself at all. He was always that very softly spoken, reserved gentleman. And finding out facts about a man who was so impactful on me as a young man, and understanding where he came from and the manner in which he expressed what he's done so matter-of-factly and so beautifully, modestly, was really, it's good, that.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I quite enjoyed the show with Richard. Would love to get him on the show. If Ryan can't make it to the fix one day, can I be his replacement?
It's awesome. Mate, I'm sure he'd love you to come in as a replacement, Jake. He's keeping it still Aussie, innit, you know? So,
well, that's what I mean. You got to swap an Aussie for an Aussie if he's a bit crook one day, and, you know, you can't have three. You tried three in the past, works with four, I'm your guy. And then the last question, what are the genuine chances of Neil Pickup and the Aussie arm wrestler sitting there in a booth for Arm Wars or the World Arm Wrestling League calling an event? What are the genuine chances?
Mate, I have no idea. I don't see see any reason, whatever event it is, whether it's number one, I'd love when all this shit's behind us, touch a lot of wood. I'd love to come out to Oz anyway. I love Australia, been over there a lot. I love the whole Aussie mentality, top dudes, massive amount of friends over in Australia. I've been over there many, many times and I love it. Just an amazing place. All sport mad. All banter mad.
Yeah.
I mean, just non-stop piss taking constantly. It's brilliant. So maybe something, we do an Arm Wars Australia, where it's just Aussies versus rest of the world. It's some shit, I don't know. I'm thinking a concept. Maybe we do one of the Arm Wars Iron House shows over there.
Oh, mate, I'll fly over to you. If there is a sniff that I can call a WAL event with you, if there's a sniff, my wife has given me the all clear to fly over and sit in the booth with you and call an event.
Mate, it's why is that far-fetched? Why can that not happen? Who knows what the frig happens? Like I said at the start of this thing, I was sat on my dad's knee watching Bill Kazmaier when I was a kid, and somehow I end up in an arena full of 15,000 people talking about who the knows what happens. So, but I love the potential around something new, something different. Australia's got a lot of good arm wrestlers. I'd love to come out and see them. I'd love to come out and see what you got. I'd love to, these like programs where they go out and try and find Bigfoot. Maybe we could just like rent a ute, stick a shitload of beer in the back and a couple of like nets and see if we can go out and catch Danny. Net Danny Tesh. Bastard, come here. Get him, put him in the box. It'd be awesome.
We'll get him. That was a very polite way to say you'll never go on the World Arm Wrestling League, Aussie Arm Wrestler. That was a very polite way.
Mate, I think you're taking that very, very wrong.
No, just winding you up. Winding you up.
Without giving too much away, I know for a fact that the WL will looking to come to Oceania. I do know that.
Yeah. No, that'd be amazing if we just need to get him. We just need to get it firing, get it back on firing, and of course we need Danny Tesh back on the table. We are begging from two sides of the world, Danny, and I know you secretly watch our shows, so do the right thing. Come back on the table.
Do you think he does?
Oh, I don't know.
Do you think he's still into it a bit?
Oh, there was about 12 months ago. He was practicing with Presidential Phil, and there was that quick 10-second glimpse of him, and he had his hair was growing like Jesus, and and then that's just been about it. He is the Loch Ness monster of arm wrestling. It's
I genuinely, Danny is thinking at any time, oh, I might go and have another go. I really wish he would, because he's entertaining. He's like an Australian Frodo Hoagland.
Yeah, and he's had a great match with Frodo actually at the WAL.
Mate, yeah, which was stopped prematurely, which would have been. I would love. That was one of the matches that was made. We'd already made that match. Frodo Hoagland, Danny Tesh over the 5. Mate, if we come out to Australia and we do an Arm Wars Australia or a WL Australia, that match must happen. It must happen. It must happen.
I'm sure if we raise enough money, and like anyone, if you wave enough money in someone's face, I could, and just give him the heads up. I could see him coming back, but he's just, I remember the first time meeting Danny Tesh, I hated him because I went up to him, and it was at Arnold's 2019. Devon was over here. It was the weekend of my first super match. I was only new to the sport, and I was like, man, that's Danny. I've seen him in the videos, man. The guy's a superstar. And I go up to him, and was like, hey, Danny, man, how are you? How you feeling today? And he went, good. And that was it. And not knowing who Danny was, I thought, you rude son of a bitch. Like, give me something. But then as the weekend got on, and he's not a talker. And then when you see him on the WAL and he says like 2 words after pinning Quinlan Mendez, it's like, oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Danny's that guy. So, so I obviously got it wrong when I first met him.
Clearly the strong silent type.
Yeah.
Well, shit. When you're that close to God.
Can't give too much away.
It's allowed when you're omnipotent. Once you crack the whole omnipotence thing,
yeah. And I'll get you to nominate someone, Neil. Who do you think would have a bit of a fun time on the Aussie Arm Wrestler show?
And these are the guys that you haven't had on. I'm just trying to rack my brains in terms of guys that you haven't had on here yet. Ooh. There's so many guys out there who I could throw. This is the one where you're spoiled for choice, because there's a lot of guys that I think are really, really entertaining guys. But I'd like to throw someone in there if possible. And I'm just going to try and think for a moment who people don't know that much about, And there's various guys in the sport who I think are potential stars that haven't really got that window yet. And one of the guys that I think will emerge as a star, as a standout coming forward, 2 names come to mind early doors. One of them's Jason Merlo.
Yeah, good guy.
I think Jason is a very underrated guy. Kevin Robertson's another one from the US. And another guy that I'm going to just give you a couple of options here, guys that are out there, and I want to get him on my show also, but I think it's one of those guys that you need to get some spotlight on. Have you had Ben Carroll on yet?
I've had Ben Carroll on, yeah. Very lucky to have Ben on. Yeah, he's a bit of a quiet dude, doesn't Yeah, doesn't care too much about the Australian arm wrestling scene, but he was a great guest. Yeah, he was good fun. I was lucky enough to get him on.
And what about Tobias Sporong?
Well, that's who Ben nominated. So I've been trying to reach out. Well, I haven't because I had a bit going on. But yeah, I want to get Tobias on the show, and that's who Ben nominated as well. They have a great
reality check. I want him there. I want to try. I have been trying for 5 weeks. I've been trying to manufacture something for that guy. I've got one spot open. I reached out to him and his management, and I've been speaking to him. And then, okay, but Tobias is a good enough level that you can't just ping him in against anyone. Now, opportunity has just knocked because a couple of changes. So I'm going to be doing a live next couple of days, and I'll talk about that. But opportunity has just knocked. So I'm going to be contacting Tobias Sporong again and his manager again and speaking to him. And I'd like to get Tobias on Wars Reality Check because I was really impressed with him. I think he's really solid and I think he's got a lot of possibilities. So Tobias would be a good one. I think he's great. Yeah. And I think if you throw in limelight on guys, new guys that are exciting characters that people don't know, we have a guy in the UK, Nathaniel, right? I'll send you his details. And in the UK, if you just say the name Urban.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Urban Armstrong.
Yeah, everybody knows Urban. In the UK, everybody knows Urban. Urban is a star.
Yeah. Now, I've seen some of his matches.
Just a star, mate.
Yeah, he's...
Absolute star. And I think Urban would be one of those guys where it's like, initially it'd be the Conor McGregor, it'd be like, who the fuck is this guy? But at the end of the show, it'd be like, really like that guy.
Yeah.
He's a good dude. My kids love Urban.
Okay, yeah.
Cool mother, let me tell you right now.
Nah,
good dude.
I've got a soft spot for Urban because back in the day he was one of the first ones that reached out and went, oh, really like what you're doing, mate. Is there any chance? Yeah, I've got a match here. Is there any chance you could call this match for me? Oh, it'd be hilarious and things like that. And yeah, and so yeah, Urban's been
Follow. Tell you what I'm gonna do to get to put your money where your mouth is, right? I'm gonna try and in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to try and manufacture something for Urban so that he can be an alternate at Arm Wars Reality Check. Just so I can show people him and they can see him pull on a bigger stage and then he can come on your show and do something.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Let's go. I'll try and do that.
Yeah, we'll work together and we'll get that done. And to finish off, everyone knows the Aussie arm wrestler's catchphrase is "Ready Bang!" I need to hear the Godfather of arm wrestling try his best impersonation.
Ready Bang!
Yes! There it is. This might have to be a 10-part series because I've taken up way too much of his time. Guys, if you haven't already, for some silly reason, Neil is only on 11,000 subscribers. He needs to be on 111 minimum. Do what you can. Go buy some merch. I've got one Arm War shirt. I need about 6 of them. There's new merch all the time. The stuff's silk. It's brilliant. It fits well. Do anything you can. When the fix is on, jump in, have a chat, donate a few dollars because, you know, without Neil Pickup, there's probably not going to be an Aussie arm wrestler and things like that. You know, what he does is not only does he get the big names on his show, but he's willing to help anyone out. And Neil, I cannot thank you enough, mate. It's been you are my most requested person to come on the show. Anytime I do a live, more than Devon, more than John. It's always, I think, as everyone knows, that my dream, you know, I'd love to be WAL headset on next to you, calling the action. And so everyone's like, when are you and Neil? When are you and Neil? When are you and Neil? Gotta hit it off. So yeah, you have been my most requested since day one to come on the show, and that just says a lot about what you do for the sport. You're highly recognised. You're an absolute gem. Guys, thank you very much for watching. Do what you can to support Neil in this. He's just an absolute gem. He has done so much for the sport, and we should all just be grateful for what he's done. I'll give him a best. I can't really raise my eyebrow, but finish off like that. And we will see you next time, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Jake. Thanks for having me on the show, and thanks everybody for watching. Subscribe to Aussie Arm Wrestling.